Hello, everyone, and welcome back into the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, brought to you as always by the GSMC Sports Network. And for our final segment of today's show, we're going to be going over to the world of domestic football and the bizarre rumors surrounding Elon Musk potentially purchasing Liverpool Football Club. Now, if I were a Liverpool fan, I would be a little bit concerned because, as we all know, Americans meddling in European football kind of gets a little bit weird and awkward. But I would also be a little bit intrigued in terms of how he would invest, because right now Liverpool's in a tremendous spot. They found the right man to succeed Jurgen Klopp. They're top of the Premier League, and yes, they have some contract situations to figure out, but they have a very young talent pool as well. I like the guys coming through their system, and ultimately they're in a good spot that if they find an investor like Elon Musk willing to put money into their efforts, then I would leap at this opportunity. But ultimately, there are a lot of complications with this, and it is just a rumor, and I don't necessarily think Liverpool fans will be happy either way. Without further ado, let us talk about this bizarre rumor in this term here. Because when I think about the impact a move like this would have on Liverpool, I think that it would be shocking, but it could also work in their favor, because the publicity surrounding that would really help Liverpool become an even bigger team. As Anthony Manzano said, how big sound of Atletico Madrid, so I'm wondering why is it that people give a lot more respect to Real Madrid and Barcelona, but Athletic gets overlooked even though they're in the top consistently. I do feel like in La Liga, it's Real Madrid and Barcelona, as he also mentioned he's a fan of Atletico Madrid. I feel like, Atletico is one of those teams who play a brand of football that is simply a little bit more unappealing than, say, Real and Barcelona. And I feel like Diego Simeone is not cast in a similar light as managers like Zidane and Ancelotti, and then for Barcelona, Pep, and managers like that, and Xavi. But ultimately, I do feel like Atletico, should they continue to push Real Madrid and Barcelona in the league this year, really have a chance to gain a lot more respect, just because they are doing it in a more attractive manner now. They have a lot of attacking talent up front. I love what Julian Alvarez has brought to this team. They're doing well in the Champions League, so I'm really looking forward to seeing if they make noise in both La Liga and the Champions League, make deep run there, how they look over here in terms of how they gain American respect. But going back into this Elon Musk situation and looking at how the future of Liverpool can be impacted, I feel like, obviously, if you're a Liverpool fan, you probably wouldn't know how to feel about it, because yes, with Elon Musk, he brings a lot of money. And if we look at the numbers here, Liverpool's current net worth is £4.3 billion, and Elon Musk's net worth is £343 billion. Now, obviously, he's not going to be investing all of that, but he's going to invest a large portion of that money. As Anthony Manzano said, so we think Atletico Madrid is almost playing a British and German style of football instead of Spanish. I guess you could put it that way if you think about it, for as long as the Simeone era has gone on. But now they are starting to evolve a lot more. They are starting to realize that attacking football, especially in cup competitions, really helps you as well. And I really like what they did in getting guys like Alvarez and Sorloth into their teams, because it really shows the ambition of them wanting to keep up with the big guns in Real and Barcelona. And Barcelona and Real, they are attractive football sides. They can play attractive football. But I think the problem is, because they're investing in some of the best players in the world, sometimes those good players in this squad don't necessarily fit together. And we're starting to see that with Real. And in the case of Barcelona, I feel like they're just, with Hansi Flick right now, adjusting to his style. And then he also asked how Athletic evolved without compromising their great defense. That's an interesting question, because I do feel like great defense often gets overshadowed in La Liga. As he also mentions on the offensive side, without compromising the stability on defense, I do think that if you're Simeone, you really hone in on developing your attack, but at the end of the day, you're still a defensive guy who can utilize his defense both offensively and defensively. I think that they have two brilliant wingbacks. I believe Molina is one of them. He's a brilliant player, both in the attack and defensively. So if he utilizes his wingbacks especially, that can really revolutionize this Atletico team. And I'm already starting to see it from the short kind of clips and portions I see of their games this season. But ultimately, I do think that the question you ask is more important to how Atletico looks in the future, and especially this stretch run in La Liga, where they firmly have the ball in their court, and how they're going to look down the stretch of the season, because they're right now in first, I believe, in La Liga, and Real Madrid and Barcelona are chasing them. So it's going to be interesting. They are a great time. I think that's their offense. They rely on counterattack so much because their defense creating turnovers. They're not an attack-first team. I completely agree with you. But I do think that if this starts to become a little bit more of an attacking team, which I'm already starting to see in terms of how guys like Alvarez and guys like Sorloth impact them, I do think that the wingbacks are the best option in terms of how to utilize them in attack, but also continue to firm up your defense. But I do think that's a great point, just because Atletico for many years have been considered a very defensive-minded side and not being able to create many chances, whether it be through counterattack or through the build-up. But ultimately, now I just think that they're creating a little bit more diversity in that regard and becoming a team that are both dangerous defensively in the counterattack and in the build-up because of the ambitious signings they've brought in this past off-season. But getting back into, and thank you, Anthony, for your comments. Let me continue to know, because I love talking football, especially international football, with all of you. But getting back into this Elon Musk situation, because I do want to break down what this means also for Liverpool's players. Because, like I said, they're in a situation where they're top of the Premier League, and they have a lot of contract situations, specifically with guys like Salah, Van Dijk, and Alexander-Arnold. And then this deep talent pool, a lot of youth coming through the ranks, that I feel like if Elon Musk were to buy this team and immediately start investing in building through this youth development and then figuring out what they want to do with the likes of Salah, Van Dijk, and Alexander-Arnold, then Liverpool fans might not be as mad, because it's all about investing in the right areas and the areas that their fans really want to see grow. As he also mentioned, just a question being that the Dolphins are going to be playing Madrid for a home game. Do you think this may slowly set up one of these owners in Spain trying to buy an NFL team? I don't necessarily know if European owners are as passionate as American business magnates in terms of buying them, because we've seen a lot more of these American owners be attracted by these big clubs abroad. But I do think that, if anything, honestly, Tesla is actually creating more of a loss than profit. I don't think this is a good idea for the British Soccer Federation to allow Musk to buy a team. I ultimately agree with you. I think it seems a little bit ludicrous and bizarre. I'm just going off the rumors I've found online concerning this potential purchase, but I do think I ultimately side with you, Anthony, in terms of Elon Musk and how he looks financially right now, in terms of all the money he's throwing into all his other business pursuits. So it really is one of those things where I just wanted to bring it to your attention and just kind of talk about what the future could look like for Liverpool should this bizarre rumor come true. But I do think that you bring up an excellent point. But going back to your owners abroad topic here, I do think that, if anything, the NFL should focus a lot more on international appeal before you start talking about owners from other countries being interested in buying teams. Just because right now, football is a much broader sport around the world than American football. So I feel like this is more of a move from the NFL to get more fans internationally to buy into the sport rather than owners. And then Anthony also says it's an American business magnate trying to buy a sports franchise between either Tim Cook from Apple or Jeff Bezos. That's who should buy this team that's up for sale you're talking about. It would be interesting if any American corporation, because as we've seen, you have Ryan and Rob, big Hollywood superstars, buying some Wrexham, and look how they're doing now, rising the ranks in English football. And then you have someone like Todd Bowley, who at the start just seemed to pour money into everything, and all those signings didn't seem to click on the field for Chelsea. And ultimately, now, they're finally starting to coalesce. But I do think that it's always the question of, are these business magnates willing to pour a lot of money into a football club? Because running a football club as an owner takes a lot out of you. And if you've seen, say, Welcome to Wrexham, which gives you the perfect blueprint of how a football club is run, even at, say, a non-league level and now rising through the ranks of English football, it really is a complicated process. You really have to focus on what the fans want, and I'm not necessarily certain Elon Musk is in it for, say, the betterment of this team. I think that this could be a power move, and I think that, yes, he has ties to Liverpool, and it's currently owned by Fenway Sports Group, who is big in America as well. But at this current moment in time, it would be a little bit silly, and I know it's just a rumor, for people to completely invest in this rumor. Just because I'm not necessarily certain Elon Musk is for real here and going to make a real move of it in the coming weeks. But continue to know what you think about this, just because Liverpool seems to be in a situation where they have everything straight. They found Arne Slot, been doing an incredible job, and he doesn't seem like he wants to bow to anybody, and he's going to be very, very firm in his stance should a guy like Elon Musk come in. But ultimately, I feel like Liverpool should stick with what they know. I feel like they're in a situation where they can't lose at the moment, and whether or not, the contract situations get settled and these young players start developing, they're in a situation where a move like this would really hinder them rather than fully help them, because it never works right away for American business magnates buying European teams. I think that ultimately comes down to as well if this rumor is really going to be heard out and Elon Musk is completely serious about this, because right now all it is a rumor. But for the time being, I do think that Liverpool should stick with FSG, stick with the fans, and ultimately keep them satisfied. And right now they're doing a pretty good job of that themselves. They'll just about do it for today's edition of the GSMC Dead Ball Sports Podcast, brought to you as always by the GSMC Sports Network. I've been Chris Shepard. Thank you all for tuning in to today's show. Thank you for your lovely comments as well. Continue to do that through the Super Chat, Super Thanks, and Super Stickers features here on YouTube. As always, like, follow, and subscribe as well. But that will just about do it for today's show. We'll see you again next week at 3:30 Eastern Time for another edition of the show. But I'm out for this week.